10 a.m., all members present.
I know that Matthew has two resolutions of Horizons that he's just finished okaying, and he'll have to read those on this afternoon. Other than that, I just have the agenda. Does anybody know where Matthew went?
He was just
He was right in the room there a minute
I
ago.
think I saw a shadow. I'll see.
One resolution is a temporary consultancy for a month or two, and the other is the permitting a Nassau rehabilitation group to practice out of the center. So do you need Matt to explain that?
Yeah, I need that explained.
Matthew, would you like to explain those two resolutions you have?
We have two resolutions that Horizons has asked us to read on this afternoon. The first is an agreement with Central Nassau Guidance and Counseling Services.
Nassau what?
Central Nassau Guidance and Counseling Services. It's a group that provides detoxification services that they are expanding into Suffolk County.
Is it a Nassau County organization?
Yes.
And what is that, can you just explain that to me?
Well, it's just for...
Detoxification services, what happens when these folks come here?
Well, it'll assist it for, there's client referrals that we get for detoxification, and right now the facility isn't suited to handle it.
Okay.
So this group is expanding into Suffolk County.
And they'll work out of that building?
Yeah,
What is the cost to us?
nothing.
No cost?
No.
You had a question?
I asked Matthew about the rent on that. I says, how can we let a company from Nassau County come into a town building for free?
No, it's a not-for-profit company.
Okay, but you know what non-for-profit means, like I said earlier. End of the year, they make $300,000. Each board member splits $150. It's not-for-profit. That was my problem with it,
Well, do they get space, or are they simply coming to
No, they want
assist?
space.
Space in the building?
They'll get space in the building.
Did anybody get a chance to talk to Elaine on this?
Yeah, she's all for it. She says everything's
All right.
fine.
No, because I did, and what she explained to me was that we have a need in Suffolk County and in Smithtown for detox. We don't have the ability to do the detox where we are now. So yes, they will be using the space, it will be free, but the need is so great as far as alcoholism, drugs, and detoxification is something that is so dangerous unless you do it properly. So she feels, and I'm just telling you what she said, first of all, it's free, there is a need for us, and it will be, she explained to me, detoxification, as all of you know, could kill you. That's how bad it is. So with the experts, they will go in with the Nassau County group, detox, and then be trained as far as going out in public again, so they don't go right back into the same socialized group where they're in trouble again. So I think what she's trying to say is one hand washes the other. Nassau has a need for a spot, we have a need for detoxification. It would be a marriage.
Just needs to be
Yeah,
laid out what they're going to give us then, value-wise, for the space they're going to get.
Well, that's
And
why
it needs to be a short term, to make sure it works out for both parties.
the way she presented it to me was that it's a mutually beneficial arrangement.
That's exactly right.
As long
Is
as it
this for
gets-
1 year period?
Yes.
Didn't I read that?
Yes.
Just for 1 year, I
Yeah.
would say,
Mhm.
trial period?
Yes.
And there are no signatures required, no agreements?
There is an agreement.
There
That's
is.
what this
May I
resolution is
see
for.
that? This is the agreement.
And no liability, as I recall.
Now, that'll be addressed in the agreement.
Yeah, I saw the agreement, there was no
Yeah.
liability to us.
Mhm.
But it makes, I think, Smithtown Horizons more forward, more
It just needs to be
inclusive.
spelled out what they're going to be charging these people,
I
if they're
think-
going to be
I
charging
think
the
it's in the
people.
contract,
Yes.
right?
The contract really needs to be looked over very thoroughly.
Yeah, that'll
To
be
make sure the
addressed.
benefit
You-
for the town residents is,
You can't
there.
go into detoxification in a hospital unless you are at risk of dying. Did you know that?
No.
So this deals with a different group. It's important, you know, as long
not
as,
saying they're a
as
bad
long
group,
as
I
the
just-
contract works in,
The contract
exactly.
needs to be written properly.
What's the other
I'll
one?
address that. The second one is a consultant agreement. If you recall, the end of last year, we terminated all the consultants for Horizons. Elaine is in the process of hiring someone to take over for the roles that the consultants were performing, which includes certifications for treatments that are required by the state. She's run into a problem that between the time it takes to hire, it's going to take a couple weeks to get this person in. She needs someone to provide these certifications, and the only person that's licensed is one of our former consultants. So she's proposing that we retain that person for a short time
As a consultant or a part-time employee?
as a consultant.
But isn't the problem with the consultants that we did not hire, or we cut off, was that the IRS said that we can't treat those people as consultants, we have to treat them as employees.
Well, they're either consultants or employees, yes.
Either or?
Yes.
Okay. But I believe that was the stumbling block that why we had to let the consultants go.
We did. So we have a choice. We're providing treatment without the proper certifications.
Okay.
But I don't understand, though, if we had to let the consultants go, but you're saying we're hiring the consultants.
Yes. No, we're hiring someone else.
Before, they
not the
weren't
consultant.
paid as consultants, they were paid basically as an employee with a
Yes.
1099, which under IRS rules and
Right.
regulations, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Okay, yeah, so you're going to have two for this afternoon?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have nothing.
Yeah, Matthew, I want to raise the issue again about that proposed parking lot up there in Kings Park. And I asked you if you would get back to the owner of that property and see what his number is. Have you had any luck with that?
Yes, we've reached out to him, but we haven't heard back yet.
Okay. You'll keep us posted.
Yes.
And the second thing I'd like to bring up, and this is something that we've talked about in varying forms since I've been here, about restructuring some of the aspects of government, particularly public works and things like that. Mr. Wareheim and myself and Tommy have worked on a proposed plan for realigning government services to be more in line with the other four towns on the western end of Suffolk County. We have talked to civil service, and we have come up with a proposed plan, and I'm stressing proposed plan, to be looked at by all of us, to be evaluated, to have our ideas put in place to see if we want to do it, whether we want to reject it. And I have copies of the rough plan that we have. We have, as I said, spoken to civil service. They encourage the realigning of government, and they would be very happy to come and to discuss this matter with us at a work session.
What are the benefits of a realignment?
Well, what we would do is realign it and have a commissioner in charge of a number of different departments. What we've done is broken down the departments for consideration to see if this would be acceptable and if we could make this alignment, you know, where it would fit. We would have a commissioner in charge of each, and the major benefit, I think, is that it would provide more control over all the departments. So what I did, what I've done and what we've done, is put together this little plan. I'd like to give it to each of us
Please.
to look at, to consider, and talk about it in another work session. All right?
What are the benefits of the plan? What do you get out of it?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
What
you.
are the benefits?
The benefit really is that we have more and a more efficient form of government.
When we put it together, you can, when you combine some of these departments, you can have efficiencies moving forward with clerical personnel, public works specifically, the sharing of equipment and manpower. So most of the municipalities or the other 4 or 5 who have done this reorganization, that's where they gain their advantages. It becomes a more efficient way to run than having 23 or so separate departments running all on their own.
So, but I'm not, I just need to, when we talk, what makes our departments now inefficient?
Well, this provides more of a responsibility to one person to run 3 or 4 or 5 different departments. And in my view, makes it far more effective because you have a certain amount of control that you don't have today.
But, I'm not argumentative
I
here.
understand.
But I'm not so sure I understand what control we lack here. The town runs very well. Billy's a very efficient town. Why would we do that? I can tell you, 1, 2, 3, 4 commissioners, at least $1.50 each, you're gonna pay them, if not more.
Not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily do it that way.
How would you do it?
Well, we're working on the feasibility of using some some people that are presently employed to go that way. We just, spoke to Alan Schneider of Civil Service about that. And we've been talking about consolidation for 10 or 12 years. So it's a basic plan to look at to see if the board is interested in moving in that direction and having some commissioners in charge of these departments. I agree that certainly there's going to be more control over departments that are under one roof with the commissioner that would serve at the pleasure of the board.
I agree with you that if you took 4 commissioners and you say, let's say, $150,000, you're talking about a lot of money. That is not the way we propose it to do it. I don't think it would come out that way. But again, these are all things that we should sit down and discuss in some detail.
So Bob, are you saying that you take one person, let's take the first category, somebody from building. There's still the building inspector, the chief building inspector stays there. Somebody that already works in building will become the commissioner, but also work there at the same, have a dual role?
No.
No, all right.
Somebody from inside could, according to civil service, become the commissioner.
And about what happens to the spot that that person vacates to become the commissioner? Do they stay in both roles?
No, then you'd have to fill that spot.
Then you have to fill the spot.
In some cases you would, in some cases you may not have to.
So would that commissioner then be like the person you go to and that person is responsible for 5 different departments? Would it be rather than a liaison, or would it be with a liaison as well?
Well, you could still have the liaison, but that person would be responsible positively for what you have here: building, community development, environmental, waterways, assessor, solid waste, and engineering. Now, that's open to some discussion. For example, assessor could be a unit unto itself in the 4th, 5th category. The assessor would be independent, could be, or could be under planning and development.
So if there was an issue in any of the departments, they would go to the
They go
commissioner,
to the commissioner.
and then the commissioner would bring it to the town board?
That's correct.
That's right. Well, the commission would first deal with the problem,
Mhm.
and then keep the town board advised.
The reason these categories are put this way for everybody's perusal, so everybody can take a look at it, and certainly we'll discuss it further as we go forward, is based on Mr. Schneider's assessment from civil service. He feels an organizational chart like this would be something, has to be approved by Albany, that they would approve. We ran this by him to make sure that we weren't just wasting our time before we presented it to everybody else.
Why would we have to go to Albany?
It has to
It
be
has to be
approved
approved
by
by civil service.
civil service in Albany.
Not
And
the
certain
state.
Okay, I thought you
criteria.
meant the state.
They need to balance out, there's certain criteria. These, as you see on the bottom, the executive and legislative support services, and these titles can be changed. Those are all, of course, standalone departments. Those stay just the way they are. The top 4 would be, you could have 5. We felt 4 might be more efficient. It's one less commissioner. Generally, the other municipalities have 5 5 divisions.
So you have your planning and development department, building, community development, environmental waterways, assessor, solid waste, and engineering grants. Each of them currently work independently and they have a department head. Correct?
Correct.
By putting them all together, what do you achieve? Are there savings to be achieved?
Well, it could be, sure.
Well, tell me how.
Well, there could be savings in clericals. There's certainly going to be more efficiency with one person answering. I mean, I think we've all encountered, sometimes it becomes difficult dealing with every single department.
Oh, so you'd call the one person,
You'll have
And
one
you'd say, "We
commissioner
have a
answerable
problem
to the
with-"
town board. So if we had a problem, for example, with any of these departments, if it's an assessor problem or it's a community development problem, that commissioner would come here before the board. They also serve at the pleasure of the board. I mean, just look what we're up against with dealing with the unionized employees that are here. I mean, we're encountering it right now. We have a union president that's stopping this board from putting a planning director in the planning department. So I think sometimes these civil service listed and union employees can make it more complex.
Wouldn't they still be union employees?
No, commissioners would not.
Commissioners.
No,
would
no,
not.
I know they wouldn't be. They're appointed by
Oh,
the
yeah, But the
board.
employees would
But
be,
they would
yes.
be a subordinate. The commissioner and the deputy commissioners, and I believe it's an administrative assistant, those are titles that are afforded by civil service that would serve at the pleasure of the board. The only one that's required if we do this is the commissioner. The deputies, there's 2 administrative personnel that go with this plan.
But I haven't gotten the answer. What do you achieve by doing this?
Well, I think you achieve a more efficient type of government in that, for example, and we have experienced this over and over and over. We have situations where the building department doesn't talk to environmental doesn't talk to building, things get hung up that shouldn't get hung up, and that could be clarified and made more concise and move smoother by doing this, by having somebody, one person over those people.
do you think that it would behoove us to have Alan Schneider make a presentation as far as
He
this?
said he would be glad to do that.
So we could get a
But I
better,
think we have to have a little more of an agreement amongst us before we invite him over. But he said he would be very happy to come.
But once again, I think what needs to be done is an outline has to be made to show where the efficiencies occur and how they occur. You just can't say this is the way to do it. Building doesn't talk to the environmental. I think the town runs very well. Occasionally you will get a hiccup here and there, and the town board resolves it. The local government efficiency, New York State Local Government Commission on Efficiencies talked about appointing 3 elected officials. You've heard me say that. No one's interested in doing that. Those are real efficiencies.
I think you do it all at once as part of this whole thing.
In this
You have to look at all
scenario,
jobs.
I don't
you understand the highway department,
3 elected
you're going to
officials
eliminate
do what?
the highway superintendent. Is that correct?
Well, you can't
You don't
eliminate him.
eliminate him, but you
When
have,
his term is up.
Yeah, when
But
his
you
term is,
you have somebody over him.
yes.
That's
Correct.
really- If you're gonna do efficiencies, that's the way to do it.
I think before, well, I'm happy to discuss it further, but I think you have to really demonstrate in black and white where the efficiencies occur and whether these efficiencies result in lower taxation. I suspect that when you appoint commissioners, you're going to be adding more burden on the taxpayer by having 3 commissioners or 4, making a lot more money than they're making now.
Well, there has to definitely be financial analysis done to it to make sure it's expense neutral or even less by removing certain, we have a lot of categories that aren't filled right now, and without filling them, and that's a big part of it.
What do you mean by? which-
Basically, you have deputies that aren't filled, you don't fill those deputies. You have, certain department heads, maybe that would stay assistants and not move up to a department head. A lot of vacancies right now where it needs to stay at least neutral or reduce expenses. I think it could be done with a lot of vacancies that are there now.
Okay. I said my piece.
I mean, it's something for the board to look at, and if there's an interest in going in that direction, we could certainly have Alan Schneider come in at that point.
When you say other towns did this, and they have, all those commissioners are political appointments. Every one of them is a political appointment.
Well, I would oppose going that direction.
Well, but that will happen. And whether it's this town board or the next town board, those positions become political.
There has to be a criteria that they have to meet, I would think, of experience, not just Joe Blow off the street. They gotta have an engineering degree or this degree.
Well,
So-
who's gonna set that standard?
I would have to think civil service.
I don't think
You just
so.
don't want someone that just,
I don't
Joe
think
needs
that's
a
what.
job and gives him
I don't think the
$130,000
way,
a
yeah,
job.
that's the way it does happen.
Yeah.
Those
Can't.
jobs come out of political clubhouse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they have in the past, in some places, I think that's up to us to control.
Do
Well-
other towns in Suffolk County have commissioners?
Yes.
Yes.
Which
All of them.
ones? All of them?
All
Not
the
all.
the western towns, all the western towns.
The western towns?
Southampton, I believe, does too,
That's eastern.
yeah. So you got the 4 other western towns, And-
Huntington,
Huntington, Islip,
does.
Babylon, and Brookhaven.
Okay,
so that, there would be we could find out answers for how commissioners work for them. That would be a way to
It's
go about it.
revenue, expenses, and qualifications. You want to set your standards of qualifications
The
so you don't
problem
get
with this
political acts
is-
in the future.
as town boards change, the commissioners will
That's
change,
good. Yeah,
and they
that's
will become political.
Right.
And Smithtown is not
been like that.
as a political town as most towns are,
You're right.
okay? One can see that just in the appointments in Suffolk County. The treasurer now becomes a supervisor. The ex-controller is going, well, I don't know if he's going to take it,
I guess not.
or for the other job.
He says he's not. Now he says he's not.
I think that politics will raise its ugly head when you do this. I think Smithtown is a very efficient town. I think it runs well. I can gauge that by the amount of complaints I get in my office, which now almost nil. I don't know how many you get downstairs in Councilman's office. That's my opinion. There's 4 other people that have 4 different opinions, that's okay.
Yeah, I think we should just, and the point of this is just to say, we should give this some serious consideration and give our ideas on it, and as you have differing points of view, and that's something
Yeah.
that should be taken into consideration. We should listen to everybody's point of view.
Okay, next,
I got nothing.
anybody,
I have a couple matters for executive session.
what are they?
Litigation and contractual.
And somebody has a personnel matter?
Well, we have to talk.
That's part of it?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll move to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I move to close the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.